You guys might think that I'm lying by what I said, that I've never been rejected by a woman, but it is not a lie. And I don't have some kind of superpower of some sort. It is 100% true, but I'm going to tell you why. So just listen up here and suspend your belief for a second so I can explain this to you, because this is going to change your life if you can grasp this concept of how to never be rejected and how I've never been rejected. So first of all, I want to tell you a little bit of a story here. I want you to imagine, let's say that you found a $100 bill on the ground and you saw someone that dropped it, and you're going up to them and you're like, hey, here's this $100 bill. You dropped this $100 bill and you're trying to give them that $100 bill. All right. Now, if they said, oh, no, that's not mine, or no, you keep it, I don't want that $100 bill, would you feel rejected? No. You wouldn't. Why? Because you have something of huge value that you're giving to them. And so you're not going to feel rejected. You're not going to feel insulted that they didn't want to take the $100 bill. You're going to be like, that's weird. You're like, that's crazy, right? You're going to think they're insane, but you're not going to feel hurt. You're not going to be like, oh my gosh, my feelings are hurt because they wouldn't take the $100 bill and I try and give them. That's not going to happen. At least it shouldn't happen. Instead, you should be like, they're silly. Fine, I'll just take the $100 bill, or I'll give it to someone else who wants a $100 bill. Now, different scenario. Instead of you finding a $100 bill on the ground or whatever, or having a $100 bill you're trying to give someone, instead you go up to someone and you say, hey, I'm really hungry. I really need some money for some food. Could you give me $100? And they say no. Now do you feel rejected? Yeah, especially if it's a friend of yours or someone that you feel like should give you that money. You really wanted that money from them. You felt like they were going to give you that money. It's really important to you. You're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel hurt. Now, what's the difference between those two scenarios? I know those are kind of contrived scenarios, but I want you to understand that the difference is not the person. Okay, it's not their reaction. The same person that you could have given a $100 bill or tried to get them to give you a $100 bill, when they say no in accepting your $100 bill, it doesn't feel like rejection. But when they say no in giving you $100, it does feel like rejection. So the difference is not them and their reaction necessarily. It is you and your perception of the value. The difference is the $100 bill, whether you're giving it or taking it. And that is the key to understand with rejection. You see, you cannot feel rejection if you feel like you're giving someone something. That's where rejection comes from. It comes from being needy. It comes from wanting someone's validation, especially a woman. You want her validation. You want her to like you. You want her to be attracted to you. And she doesn't give you that. You feel rejected. You feel hurt. You feel like there's something wrong with you. It makes you feel bad about yourself. But if you thought of yourself as giving $100 bills, like just being with someone, just talking to them is like giving them a $100 bill, you wouldn't feel rejected. So that's something to understand. It's not something that someone does to you. In fact, there's a Marcus Aurelius quote, and he says, choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed and you haven't been. A lot of people who are into Stoic philosophy, a lot of you guys, you read this quote and you don't get it. You don't understand what harmed means. Being rejected is harmed. He was basically giving you the secret that I just told you about how I've never been rejected by a woman and how you never have to be either. Now, obviously, I'm being a little bit extreme here. Obviously, I felt the spurn of rejection. I felt that heartache of rejection because I didn't always know this lesson in life. But once I figured this out and I realized what I'm about to tell you next, which is how to never be rejected, I never had to be rejected again, and I never do in my life. But hopefully you got this concept about the giving and the taking, because that's so key and so much in relationships and being attractive to women for a lot of you guys that don't understand this. Now, let's talk about how to never be rejected. I'm going to give you 3 separate things that you can do practical here. The first one is to have standards. If you believe that you only want to be with someone who wants to be with you. Okay, if that's your standard, if you say, my standard for being with me is that I only want to be with a girl that totally wants to be, that's totally wild about me, that really wants to be with me. If that's your standard, then guess what happens? You've just flipped the rejection on its head. Because if some girl gives you a negative reaction when you go to talk to her, you reject her. You had a standard here that like she has to be such a quality girl that she recognizes the quality in you and that she wants you very badly. And if she's not passing that test, you don't even want her. So she's done. So you're rejecting her. So you flipped it. Instead of you being rejected and being insulted by her not wanting you or not being interested in you, you've just made that a negative attribute that she has and that you don't accept because you have standards. So having standards is key. The next thing you can do here is this. See your value. Rejection comes from neediness and wanting approval. If you want to be rejection proof, you have to not only create your value, but see your value. You're an extremely valuable human being. You might not see this now, but if you do hard things and you go and you run marathons and you work on yourself and you build a business and you improve yourself, this is why I focus on this. Again, Bulldog Mindset membership, if you haven't joined, go check it out. There's a link in the description below. And this is why I focus on helping you to improve yourself, so you can increase your perception of your value. When you see yourself as someone who gives value, if you woke up tomorrow, I promise you, and you had $1 billion in the bank, and you were dating 12 supermodel girls at the same time, and you were the MMA champion of the world, you had all this stuff, you would never feel rejection. You would go up and talk to a girl, and if she was interested in you, you would laugh. That's fine. And you would move on because you wouldn't care. Like, you would see yourself as so valuable. It's like you're trying to give her a $100 bill, and she's like, no, I don't need a $100 bill. And you're like, whatever. It doesn't insult you. It doesn't feel like rejection. It just feels like silliness. That's the whole thing. It's like when you have such a high value of yourself, you feel that way. The third one is real simple. Before I tell you it, again, if you're struggling with this and creating the value of yourself, trust me, it's going to be the best money that you've ever spent on improving yourself, because this is what I focus on. So I live, breathe, and sleep is helping guys become stronger and getting over this and transforming their lives, because I went through this and I transformed my life. Now, on to the third one, is to have options. The more you have, the less you need. It makes a lot of sense, but if you're feeling rejected, it's because you don't have options. If you had a lot of options, if you're going out there and you were facing more rejection so that you could have some options, and you built yourself up as a man so that you had some options, you would never face fear of rejection. Why? Because who could reject you? Because it doesn't matter, because it doesn't affect you. Because if I have something else, if I know that I have other options, it doesn't matter. I don't care if this person says no. It doesn't faze me at all. I know I have 1,000 other people that will say yes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Again, that's a harder thing. That's why I left that as a third one. You need to build yourself up to get to that point. Again, I teach you how to do that, but that's really key. Now, one last thing here, guys, and if you like this video, give a thumbs up, because that does really help with the algorithm, and I want to keep on spreading this value. But one last thing, I have a specific video. If you want more on this topic, on becoming rejection proof, there's a specific video. If you're a member of the Bulldog Mindset membership, go check it out. There's a lot of videos in the membership, so you might not have seen it, but it's called Becoming Rejection Proof. You can check it out. If you're not a member, you click the link down below and join us. But Becoming Rejection Proof, watch that video next, and you will see some practical ways to start building up that tolerance so that you never feel rejected again. But the key, guys, is that no one can reject you. You have only rejected yourself. So you've never been rejected either.